Hello, I am Aaron Wilson. Midterms, hallelujah, they are finally over. Unfortunately for me, spring break is also over. And I just wrote a 2,500 word research essay in 4 days. It's because, yay, college! But that is not the point of this video. The point of this video is the fact that the midterms are over. Finals are fast approaching. And because of this, I have some suggestions to my fellow students to hopefully help you do well when finals do come around. So, yes, let's just start this. Actually show up to class. For us college students, there really aren't very many consequences for not showing up to class. You can just show up if you want to show up, and if you don't want to show up, then you just don't show up. But it's really useful to show up to class, especially if it's a subject that you're having issues with. That's especially useful if you have a small classroom or you can get some one-on-one time with your professor if the need should arise. Showing up to class is really a huge thing. It can really help you out with understanding and really just learning the information to begin with. If you don't show up to class, when you go to start studying for the final, you have no idea what was covered in the class and what wasn't, so you have no idea what will be on the test. Study! I mean it. It's actually useful. Now, I know it sounds ridiculous. You're studying for finals. You shouldn't have to actually study. But oh my gosh, actually studying makes a difference. Who would have guessed? Now, this is the part of the video where I specifically offered study tips. First of all, figure out what works for you. For some people, working in a group is really beneficial. For other people, not so much. When you study in a group, it's really easy to get off track and really hard to get back on. So beware when studying in a group. My next tip is something that I've done since I was homeschooled, and recently I had a teacher recommend it to his class. So it's called the 3-read. It's more of a multi-read because it's not always 3. What you do is, first time you sit down with a book, just flip through the chapter that you need to read. Just flip through it really fast, look at the pictures, the diagrams, the big chapter title headings, section headings, all that jazz. First time, 5 minutes max per chapter. Then you sit down and you actually read the book. Don't take any notes, don't make any markings, don't do any of that. Just read the book. Do your best to absorb and comprehend the information. Now, this step you may need to repeat multiple times. Do that. Don't take any notes. Don't make any marks in the book. Just read it, comprehend it. And then, when you come to the 3rd read, which may be your 4th or 5th or 10th read, it doesn't really matter. It's called the 3-read, so we're just going to call it your 3rd read. That is when you start taking your notes, you start making your highlights if you do that. And that does kind of lead to my next tip. So sometimes you're not able to mark in your book. It might be a school-owned book, so you're not allowed to, or maybe you want to resell the book if you're in college, because those things can get pretty expensive sometimes. Rather than highlighting, I recommend sticky notes. Product placement. Sticky notes for me have been really useful. Instead of making a whole bunch of highlight marks all over my book, I can just make a little note on a sticky note and put it up on my wall, or I can leave it as a bookmark in the book. But it's especially useful when you're looking to memorize word definitions. It was especially helpful for me when I took psychology last semester and I had to memorize all the different fields of psychology. There aren't very many, but when you're learning, it's a bit tedious to try to remember all of those. But I also use post-it notes to figure out what I need to do. If I get a new assignment, put on a post-it note to put on my wall so that it's like right there. I have a post-it note right here. Copy bio notes. I already did that. But it really helps me to keep track of what I need to do, and it helps make my schedule really flexible. So, sticky notes. My #1 study tool, sticky notes. Woo! recommended to me by a teacher this semester was to study only 30 minutes. Now, this may sound ridiculous to some of you because, you want to get it all done at one time. Actually, when you study for too long at a time, you're just wearing out your brain. That is why cramming the night before a test is really bad. However, if you study for 30 minutes at a time, then you actually comprehend more because you're giving your brain a chance to kind of get into the information and actually comprehend the information, and then you're giving your brain a break. So my teacher recommended just studying for 30 minutes a day. If you must study more than that because you kind of put off on it, don't just sit down and study for 4 hours in one sitting. Study for 30 minutes, take a 10-minute break, and then come back, study for another 30 minutes, and repeat as necessary. This gives your brain a chance to kind of reset itself, and you'll actually remember a lot more when it comes time to take the test. Another tip given to me by a teacher this semester: if you must study before a test, stop like 15 minutes before the test is supposed to start. This kind of goes with the same logic as studying for only 30 minutes at a time. What you're doing is you're giving your brain a chance to just kind of relax and reset before you're working it hard trying to remember what you just studied. Give it about 15 minutes. Longer is preferred so that you have a nice, well-rested brain. Another tip is try to make sure that you get plenty of sleep the night before any tests, finals especially, because finals are typically really big tests. Yeah, it's really easy to get stressed out and want to just stay up all night studying because you can't really sleep anyways because you're stressing about that final and, oh my god, I forgot the definition of that one thing. I am going to fail this class. Yeah, really, don't let your brain go there. Just try to relax. Try to relax the night before the test and get a good night's sleep. Eat a nice big breakfast in the morning and go in there with confidence. And that leads me to my last tip. Try to be as confident as you can in yourself when you go to take a test. You may or may not have heard of a thing called self-fulfilling prophecy. It's pretty much exactly what it sounds like. If you believe that you are going to fail, you're more than likely going to fail. If you believe that you're going to pass the test, you're more than likely going to pass it. A lot of people think that if you study, then you're going to do well, and if you don't study, then you're not going to do well. But a lot of it is really a lot more mental than that. If you believe that you are going to do well on the test, then you're more likely to not stress out. You're more likely to comprehend. You're more likely to retain the information that you study. Well, actually, you're more likely to study in general. Whereas if you believe that you're going to fail the test, you're likely not going to study, for one, because it's no use. And two, you're not going to retain the information because you're too stressed out about the fact that you are not going to pass the test. So, repeat after me. I am going to ace my final exam. I'm waiting for you to repeat after me. Seriously, just do it, please. Please, I spent hours editing this video. Please, just repeat. I will ace my final exam. Please, just do it for me, please. So yes, those were a few tips that will hopefully help you ace your final exam and hopefully any other exam that you have coming up. Now, if you'll excuse me, I've been putting off studying cellular respiration. I have a test very, very soon. Oh my gosh.